Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another Q&A type video. This one will be part 10, leading up to the second half of The Walking Dead Season 5. Okay, so we're going to be continuing on with part 10 now, leading up to The Walking Dead Season 5 second half. And the first question that we're going to be talking about, or character, so to speak, is we're going to be doing some predictions for Carol. Now, the source of this comes from a question from YouTube user WineDog2, and he says, okay, so do you think it is possible that instead of Maggie becoming the leader of the hilltop, do you think Carol might? And then he says, thanks again for all the videos and everything. So great question. Now that got me thinking, I should really do as a part of this Q&A, maybe I can do this with once going forward, is giving my thoughts on particular characters from the show, and then we'll go into, other questions afterwards. So with Carol, I haven't done a character spotlight on her for a little while now. Amazing character, man. Really, really amazing character, and such an unexpected character. I even heard in the commentary that when T-Dog died, they were actually planning on killing Carol at some part. There was some discussion of whether they should kill T-Dog or they should kill Carol. And they ended up having T-Dog go out like a hero, saving Carol. And that was the route they ended up going, but they almost went the other route, and that was the original direction, was that they were going to actually have Carol killed off instead, which they switched. So I'm glad they did, because now it would have been cool to see what T-Dog could have become over the seasons, but what Carol has is just amazing. She goes from being basically helpless to being helpless, unfortunately beaten at the hands of her husband, Ed, type of character, so very weak character. Not that people in that situation are weak, that's not what I'm saying, but going from that to where she's at now, where she probably just stabbed him in the head when he turns around or something, or shoot him or something of the sort. She has gone from, kind of polar opposites, from one to one of the strongest characters in the group, saving Rick and all of the others with the Terminus situation, which was just amazing. And also spending some time on her own, being alone, getting hit by the car and all that stuff. All in all, it's just going to make her stronger, I would think. So really exciting stuff. Really, been awesome to see Carol go through that transformation over the course of the series, losing Sophia, and then, of course, having Lizzie and Mika, losing them again, now losing Beth, of course, with Daryl. And, just an amazing character, and much more well-developed, I want to say, than Maggie in the TV series. Maggie, she's got that relationship with Glenn, but in terms of which one do I see more as like the type of character that could lead a group by themselves, I would definitely have to go with Carol between the two. Absolutely, for sure. So to answer his question, do I think that she could become the leader of this other community from the comic book series called the Hilltop, which is basically a community that is like a farming community that is not really that tough in terms of defending themselves, and there's some great storylines that come into play later on, and probably be the next few seasons, within maybe starting around probably season 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. I do think that Carol would be like the perfect choice for a strong female lead character to use in that type of situation. And because she's gotten over this thing where she's kind of had a brush with death, she's been hit by the car, and she's going to be okay, she's going to survive, it almost makes me think that, okay, she's probably in it for the long run now. You've got her, you've got Daryl, you've got this relationship between the two. I just feel like, for her to be killed off anytime soon would be kind of a waste, because she's gone through so much that, she's one of those mainstays. She's one of the only ones that's around from the very beginning still. A lot of the others have been added on throughout the series, but she's like one of the original ones that was there from the beginning. So I think in the future, I do think that, I've kind of been saying this for a little while. If she survives this part, then yeah, she'll probably go on. So at this point, I'm just going to say, yeah, I think she's probably going to go on to be a very prominent character throughout the series, and I can see her sticking on for a very, very long time. Even another 5 to 10 seasons type thing, because she's that awesome to see. They've given her some great stuff. So if she makes it out of this half season, then I think she's probably home free for a while in terms of the death radar. That said, so great question from WineDog. Thank you very much for that. Next one's from Gareth Finlay. Asked some questions. In this one, he says, "Hey Trev, do you think it makes sense that people are not being killed off as much because the people left in the world are tougher survivors. Now, I would say to this one, yes, it does make sense to me because with, of course, as any zombie apocalypse scenario would play out, I would think, Darwinian type situation, the strong are going to survive, right? The longer you go through, the people that the stronger are going to be around. So you won't, I don't think that we'll run into many survivors now that are weak. It's kind of like Abraham and how he talked about in the first half of season 5. Everybody who's alive now is probably going to be pretty tough. You're probably not going to see anybody that has trouble killing walkers still alive, except for maybe people like Gabriel that just lock up shop and just never leave. Those people, they can survive. Those are like the weaker people that Morgan calls them, right? They can survive, but eventually when they have to leave, that's when they get tested. And unless they can find a group like he did, they're dead basically. So the people going forward, since all those people that would have locked up shop are probably out now because they've run out of supplies. I mean, no matter where you stay, a couple years later, you're going to be out of supplies unless it's like some kind of bunker you set up for 20 years or something. But for the most part, you're going to run out of water. You're going to run out of food. You're going to run out of these things, and you're going to have to leave. So at this point, anybody you pretty much meet out there is going to be pretty tough. They're either going to be smart, they're either going to be strong enough to kill walkers without much trouble, or smart enough to avoid them, or be quick like Glenn, where he can get, he can run around, he can get around them, that kind of thing. You're dealing with characters that are great survivors at this point going onward. I don't think there's many that aren't. Yes, you'll have some characters like Eugene that are useless against walkers, but in terms of intellect, they're able to use groups to keep them safe and are very useful to those groups so they can serve a purpose. So that's what I think about that. I agree. That is the case, I think. I think it makes sense, yeah. So maybe not as many deaths now, aside from characters like survivors killing survivors, which you'd always get that, but even more so because the scarcity of food and resources becomes even more scarce as time goes on, right, without new production. Next one's from Daniel Heiden, and he says, "Hey Trev, if there was a zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon of choice?" So again, something I've kind of touched on in the past before. I've talked about, I've created my own what would I be like in a zombie apocalypse type thing with a character, with a sketch and everything of the sort. A couple of viewers sketched it actually. I would use like a spear type weapon, like something with a weighted, like something with some distance, because you don't really don't want walkers to get too close to you. You'd want to kill them from a little bit of a distance if you could. So a spear or something like that would be perfect, because then you could kill them, or you could wound them heavily before they get close enough to bite you or do anything. And especially when it comes to crowds, because then you could kind of come in and come out, right? One at a time, and then kind of, back up and around and use good footwork. And because they're slower, they wouldn't be able to get too close to you, unless they're fresh turn and they're like sprinting, in which case you might have some more trouble. So, I would go with like a spear, or if you had to make one yourself, maybe like, take like a hockey stick or something, and, wrap some, maybe tie some, like butcher knives or something to the end of it, just something to give you a little bit of range so you don't have to do this, because if you do this and you're so close, if you miss or something, it could be bad. So that's what I would go with, is something with some distance. Well, you can't go wrong with like a sword or something like that either. That's a really good weapon. Guns, you'll run out of ammo, so you don't really want that. Next one's from, well, you would for other survivors, but not for against zombies. Next one's from ChrisReistad, and he says, "Do you think the companion series will be a success or just end up being canceled?" So here's what I'm going to say about this. Because the Walking Dead original series has built up such a following and just continues to build, because the comic book series is so huge, and you have all the merchandise now, as you can see, you've got posters at Walmart and all over the place. The brand, or The Walking Dead itself, the zombie apocalypse type realistic take on it, which is what The Walking Dead really is, has become huge. So AMC doing an additional series that's going to be on when the regular Walking Dead is not on, it's a cash cow, in my opinion. It's a great idea, because I personally can't get enough of the show, and I know a lot of you guys, you can't either. I mean, you love the show, you'd like to see more. This is what they can do. They can't do more than 16 episodes, I don't think. I think they probably talked about it, and they realized, like, the actors, they need time off, the set, everybody involved needs time off. So what they can do is they can get another crew involved, create a new series with new characters with no ties to the old one, and I think it will be successful if they do it right. I think it's going to be after the first half of season 6 ends. I think that's when they're going to show it. I hope they show it during the summertime, but I think they're going to do it during like this time next year, like December-ish time, 6 episodes. And I think it's going to be a success. I think so. Because if you look at a lot of their other shows, they only need like a few million views for it to be a success. If The Walking Dead's getting 15 or 16 million or 14 million or whatever, the companion, all it needs to do, the spin-off series, is get like 3 million, 4 million, and they're going to stick with it. It'll be ordered for sure, and I think it'll get it. Because that's not very much of that percentage of the regular original series. So I think they're going to get it. I think it'll be a success. I'm hoping. If not, Better Call Saul's on, so that's good too. It's another show. I'm always happy when there's more additional things I'm interested in, because like I try a lot of other TV series, and a lot of other ones, they just don't work for me. So, I just don't like them that much. But The Walking Dead I love, so hopefully the companion series will do it justice. We'll see. See how it goes. Next one's from Danish Man. And he says, hey, Trev, I've got a question for your Q&A. Last time we saw Morgan, he was kind of crazy. Just a little. Do you think he has come back and become normal again? And if he does catch up with the group, will he fit in as a new member of the family? Well, I think he will fit into the group, but sort of in a way he will, because Rick's going to be like, oh, it's him, oh my God, he saved my life, when I first came out, and he let me know about the zombies and everything, and he helped me and protected me and all that, right? When he could have killed me or whatever, and he gave us, Daryl, that crossbow you got, that's from him. He gave him, he's going to fit in terms of that for sure. But in terms of his, like the way he's still going to be crazy, I think, to a degree. Now Morgan is an interesting one, because he's kind of like, he is crazy, but a lot of what he knows, a lot of what he does, a lot of what he says is not crazy. He's just evolved to become that way in that world. So a lot of it is really him just changing into that. But I do think he's got a bit of that crazy part too, a little bit. But most of it is just him changing and evolving to suit that world, whereas the other part is the craziness. So he is going to be crazy to a degree, and I think he will fit in well in the group because of the other skills he has and everything, and knowing Rick, of course. But we'll have to see how they play it out and how many seasons, because hopefully he comes in as a full-time, like, regular character. But, who knows with Lenny James, because he's got other stuff he's working on, right? So I hope he can drop all that and just do The Walking Dead. Forget Low Winter Sun, forget these other shows that nobody really cares that much about. Maybe one or two people are, oh, I like that show. But, but we all like The Walking Dead. It's such a huge show. Hopefully he can just do that. So we'll see. But, yeah, I think he's going to fit in, but he's going to be have a little bit of that crazy side still, too, I think. Next one's from David Aldrich, and he says, do you think we'll ever see a zombie scratch? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've ever seen if a scratch will turn you or not. You're right. As far as we know, right now, it's a who knows, right? I don't think in the comic book series anybody's ever been scratched and turned or anything of the sort. I think Morgan was the one who actually asked if he was scratched or bitten or anything. So it's kind of funny that question was right after the previous one. But yeah, no, I don't think we ever will see that, because I don't think it's enough. Like, I don't think it's something that, would make for a good story. Oh, I got a little scratch. Like wouldn't that just be the most lackluster death ever? Like anticlimactic death you could ever have for a character? I think it would be. So I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that. No, and I don't think we'll ever really know if scratches do turn you or it's just the bites. I tend to think it's just the bites. I don't think scratches do, but who knows? I mean, it could. Who knows? Next one's from Triple Arms, and he says, who would win? Shane versus Morgan. Nice, good question. That's a tough one, man, because Shane is tough, but what Morgan is at right now, I'd say he's even tougher. So I'm going to have to go with Morgan, but we don't know what Shane would have been like had he have evolved through a couple years of the zombie apocalypse. If he killed Rick and then he did some other, and he survived all the way through, then probably Shane. But in his current state, I think Morgan would be pretty tough to beat for almost anybody one-on-one, because he's so crafty and he's just so changed by the world. He's just been totally changed as a person from the zombie apocalypse world. So yeah, I'd go with Morgan in that one. And I guess we'll do one more. This one's from Omar Graves, and he says, hey, Trev, what do you think the writers will do with Noah? Do you think he will survive this season, or will they kill him off? It's a great question. I actually think in his case he's going to survive, because they chose a good actor for him. They chose the actor who played Chris, and everybody hates Chris. And usually, if they're going to get a big name actor in there, at least, or well, he's not. I wouldn't say he's a huge name actor, but he's big enough. You know what I mean? Like he's recognizable. If they're going to bring in somebody like that, I tend to think it's going to be for a role for at least a few seasons. So I would say at least 2 to 3 seasons for him. But I mean, you know, I could see them killing him off too. I just don't think they will right now. You know, it's always hard to tell with The Walking Dead because you never know with these new characters what they're going to do. But I'd say I've got a feeling probably not right away. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. I got some more, but I'm going to save them for another segment. I'm going to try to keep these at about 15 minutes. Longer than that, it's like, you know, it's just a little bit too long. So, you know, yeah, so I'll keep it at that. And let me know what you guys think about all these. Let me know what you think about Carol and what's happened with her and what you think the future is for her. I think she's going to survive for a long time at this point and become really strong, cool character, one of the best in the series, hopefully. So we'll see what happens with all of that. And yeah, if you like the video, please thumb it up below. If you want to support the channel, please share it. Please favorite it. That's it for this one, guys. See you for another pretty soon. As always, it's Trev saying peace.